In fact, a mother to this home at the Advent House. And when I think about Dean George, I think about specific mother moments. And I think we all know what these mother moments are. Like times where she'll do something and you're like, wow, that's actually my mom. So I think we'll just have some words for speaking to those mother moments.
Okay. One of the mother moments, where I saw you most as my mother, Dean George, is, well, often, I'm a really passionate person, and I often come to you, how am I going to do this, and how am I going to change the world, and how am I going to use everything I've been given here and just in life to benefit the community, my community. And I think you're one of the people who most understands me, and I can come to you and find a kind of support and guidance and wisdom and learning who I am and figuring out how I can make the kind of difference I want to make here and ultimately with my life. So I think one of the moments where I saw that the most was when I came to you, and remember we had this really long conversation in the community, and out of that talk came Black Convocation, an event that I expect to see all of you at next year, January. But I think that was really the kind of just see something that was in my head go from just this thought, this idea, this passion to encourage Black students to reflect on how we can be committed to our community. To see that go from that, simply that, to an event that I enjoyed and all the other students who were there. That was the biggest, one of the moments where I saw you most as my mom, because I think you, like our mothers, but especially as our mother here, can see things in us that we can't necessarily see in ourselves. And so I thank you for how you believe in me more sometimes than believe in yourself.
So unlike Letitia, who, well not unlike, but in addition to what Letitia said, Dean George has been my mother in the fact that she's always kept me in line. The last staff meeting we had was the final staff meeting of the year. Chris, after film blast and everything, Chris and I were laughing and joking around, clearly not paying attention. And like everyone else was preparing out the meeting, and Dean George just turns her head and looks at us like, all of a sudden, dead silence falls in the room. And all I could say was, I'm sorry, I apologize, and that was pretty much the extent of it. And then it just, there's one of those, just hit me. It was like, I just saw my mother's eyes, and Dean George's eyes. And it made me think back to my freshman year, I came to work at the Advent House, pretty, it's like, whatever, this is a job, I need a job anyway. And there are certain rules you have to follow as a member of house staff. And one of those is to always keep the door open to your office while you're in office hours. And there was one day I walked in tired, the door was closed, I was like, I need to go home, whatever. And Dean George walks in and she says, the door is closed. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I totally forgot. And then, of course, the silence, the mother silence. And then she says to me, do you want to be here? Instance and interaction with Dean George and myself, but it was that moment that really changed the trajectory of my experience at that house, my experience at Yale. And because it really showed me that, like, it's the little things that really make all the difference. And Dean George, as your mother, as any mother should do, is to make sure that in every aspect of your life you are high achieving and making success. And whether that's high achieving in your classes or in your relation or making sure you keep the door open like you're supposed to when you're working. So I think it was that point where I started talking to George about more things I wanted to do for the staff and more things I wanted to do with BSA and my schoolwork, and then she became my advisor for my sophomore year. And it was really from like moments like that that just made me realize that I need this person in my life to keep me alive and to keep inspiring me to do as best I possibly can. So thank you for everything. All of a sudden, everybody has stories they want to tell. So we got a story.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk anymore, I promise. But at the beginning of this semester, I had a death in the family in February, and I had to fly home the next day. And I had like no money because we had just come back from Christmas, and I was super broke, and I was like, oh my God, like, how am I going to get home? And I texted Dean George, and she booked my ticket and drove me to New York to the airport to make sure that I got home. And it was, and like people don't do that. Like she could have easily put me on a CT limo bus and been like, I'll see you later. But she actually rented a car and drove me to New York to make sure I got to the airport. And we had a great conversation. And that's just like one of those times when you just see that she always goes above and beyond like her duties as the director of the house. and it was like that's what I needed at the time. Like time in a car with somebody I know to relax and collect my thoughts. And she's always there to give that kind of support. And I'm sorry for making people cry, but I just wanted to share that story because I think it really kind of shows the kind of person that Dean George is. And that was gross.
So on behalf of
18, I wanted to finish this with just with the one quote, because quotes are wonderful. So I think kind of the theme through all of this night is that you have been hugely instrumental in our growth and our development. And so the quote is one from Dr. Cornel West. And it says, "I am who I am because somebody loved me." And I think that is the best way to sum up our growth, our development, us making it through this, us becoming the kind of people, the kind of human beings we want to be. So thank you, Dean George, for loving us enough for us to be who we can. And now, now, Katie.
So before I offer Dean George the mic to say a couple words, I want to just thank Tamika with a little gift from the rest of the board.
All right,